Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a minute since I updated y'all with a good video, but new content and good content coming up, so stay tuned on that. On today's lesson, we're actually going to build a self portfolio using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, but we're not going to build from scratch. Instead, we're going to use Bootstrap templates. Usually these templates work when you're trying to make a portfolio or you're working with freelancers. Most of them are free, most of them cost. I have played around with like a template that did cost. It kind of helps like bring in more function into the code. This is a previous template that I made using Bootstrap for a freelance. So as you can see, I was able to add like the stars. I was able to kind of mess around with it. I was even able to add a form. So I like Bootstrap because it acts into a very good website, easy go and go. I don't have to do everything from scratch. And then you can use GitHub pages to be able to have a domain. But in this case, I want to show you how to make your own personal portfolio, so that way when you're applying for these tech roles, you can kind of show off your portfolio, your projects, so kind of have like a little bonus, stand out, be different than the other applicants. So let's go ahead and jump in quick. The three things that you need for this project are Visual Studio Code, Git commands. So if you're new, make sure you install Git, either your Mac or Windows, because I will be using the terminal to be able to upload our GitHub repo into GitHub. And then you're also going to need a Mac or either a Windows laptop. I also dropped the links that we use in this course in the bottom of my video, so please make sure you look into that. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We're going to go to repositories. You're going to make a new one. Click J Perez or whatever your username is. And if you're making a personal website, like I recommend to be like a good username professionally. You don't want it to be something where it's not readable, because it's going to be like your domain. So see right here, it says github.com. It's essentially going to be jperez1478.github.io. So that's the domain that it comes with. And in order for this to work, you have to put your username, then .github.io. You can make it public or private. We're going to make it public. Right, so we did the first steps, which was made the repo. Now let's open up your terminal. If you're in a Mac or Windows, this should work as well. Let me clear this right here. Sorry, let me start a new terminal. Okay. So CD means changing directory, and I'm going to desktop. OS means what's inside that folder. So this is the folders that I essentially have in my desktop. You can also do this simple step in your desktop, make a new folder, call it portfolio. That's essentially what I'm doing in this step, but you're a programmer, so it's also good to know, kind of work around your terminal. So this is what I'm doing in this case. So I'm in my desktop. Now to create a folder in your shell, you're going to say mkdir. So this is making a folder, making a directory, and we're going to call it portfolio, or you can call it personal web. Make sure you don't add spaces like where you're adding web, because then it's going to be harder to kind of copy that directory. So make sure you just do it all together. Personal web, portfolio, my personal website. Something short, simple. It's just going to be the folder name. Once you make that folder name, well, I put mkdir. Make sure that you put mkdir. Okay, I made that folder. So as you can see, I made that folder right there. So let's change into that folder. CD, change directory, and put the name of your folder. So in this case, I put personal web LS, and it's empty folder. And as you can tell, here is that folder. So you can do it like in the simple way, or you can do it the coder way, which is the terminal. Now we're gonna add this simple git commands to be able to clone our repo. Period git sorry, it's actually gonna be git clone. Copy this little button right here, paste it, and then just click enter. I clone my repo. That was simple. So all you have to put is git clone, copy that URL that is given when you create this repo, copy it, paste it, and you're already cloned into your repo. And it says you clear and empty, and of course it's empty. So now we're gonna go back to our Bootstrap template, and we're gonna choose a free one right here. So let's go to templates. Let's use, I like to use this one because it's more of the one that you need when you're kind of having like those technical interview roles. But you could mess around with different ones, but for this section we're gonna use this. So like I said, go to bootstrap.com, click this one, which is free, download it. Once you download it, I already have it downloaded, but once you download it, it's gonna be a zip folder. You want to uncompress that folder, go inside of it, so it's gonna be like this lock folder. Unlock it, go inside of it, copy all these files, because this is the files that we're gonna use. We're gonna use this template, right? So copy all these files, go to the folder that you made, go inside the github.io, paste all the files that you just copied from that template. You don't need this no more. You just needed the files that were inside there. So once you completed that step, you go to git status, and it's gonna say, hey, actually make sure you go into that directory. So cd jperez 1478.github.io. now I'm inside my repository of the GitHub. So the thing with the terminal, I know it looks scary and kind of weird, but really you're just talking to your computer. So once you're inside that folder, personal web, OS is searching inside that folder. So we have this, you can just copy it instead of typing it. Then you're gonna say change directory to, so you're going into that directory. Now once I'm in that directory, it should show there. So inside that directory is gonna show, okay, I have the assets, CSS, index.js, but we haven't uploaded it. So we're gonna say git status to see. Git now says, hey, you added these files, you might want to commit them. So remember these steps: git clone, git status once you're inside your folder, and it's gonna say, okay, I added those files. Now we're gonna actually commit it. So commit is just like saying, like, it's like a saving point, like saying, hey, git commit. It's very important that you put the steps: git commit -m quotes edit new files. Make sure you do add a space. So git command m quotes edit initial files, enter. I did something. Okay. Nothing added to commit, but untracked files represent git add. Okay, that's my mistake. Sorry guys. Instead of after git status, I'm actually supposed to put git add period and then I'm gonna say, hey, git commit, and I'll make sure I'll follow the steps right here in the little window, so you have the actual right commands that you need to do. So git m okay, so now it created those files. So once you did that, it should show this. Then now we're gonna push to GitHub. So git push, boom, that's it. Now you go to refresh, and there are the files that we just added through the terminal. So this is very much more easier. Of course, there's an easier way to do this in GitHub. You know, you add your folder, you add your file, but this is programmer's world, so you need to learn how to do this, because in the real world you are going to be working with GitHub a lot of people are doing commits, or you know, it's really essential that you know this initial process. So now that we uploaded our GitHub repo and everything is up, now we can start working on Visual Studio. Alright guys, make sure that you are on Visual Studio Code. So what I did in the terminal, it was just like when I started the project, it should be much more easier to make push commands and push the changes that you make into your repo into GitHub using Visual Studio Code. Main thing is though, you have to use introduction git lens, and that's in the extensions. So if you do need help on setting up everything that I did in the beginning, or how to just set up the environment, please drop a comment below, so that way I can make a separate video on setting up the right coding environment and etc. So let's get started. Just go back to open your folder, the one that you're working on. So in this case, I was working in my personal web. You click it, open it. Alright, and so right here you can see the files that we have. We have the favorite icons, it has a profile, so that guy that you see in the template that we borrowed. Then we have the style CSS, so if I want to add new pictures, I could just add it on here. JavaScript. The CSS is really easy to mess around with, so when I was doing that personal freelance website, I had to go a lot in here to change some of the colors, some of the padding. But essentially, in order for you to work on this project, you should have the basic fundamentals of the HTML and CSS. But if you need more help on it, just drop a comment, let me know what you're confused on, and I'll try to make another video to try to help you out. So we're gonna jump right back in. This is the code that is actually in. So as you can tell, it has, I do recommend to have like 2 screens, so that way you can kind of see the one that you are working on. So if we go to our index file, this is the one that we're working on. This is just an index file, nothing is updated yet. Your domain is, if I go to the live domain, so it's gonna take a while because I did do this project earlier, but the noise was really bad, so I had to redo this video. But just wait on it a little bit, we'll go back to it. But this is essentially what we're gonna be changing. So let's try to make it into, you have Visual Studio Code, we're gonna change the name, and you're gonna do Option F. So this is a lot to look at. Like, what am I looking at, right? So what helped me most is search the little Option F. Fine, so we're gonna find his name, right? Because we want to change his name. So his name was Clarence. Boom, right away I found it. So we want to add Jessica, or your name, and this is the last name. So this is inside a class, text primary, which you can find in the CSS sheet. So this is gonna be easy to just change around as long as you know that HTML CSS knowledge. And I want to say personally, do not add your address when you're making a personal website or a resume. Do not add your address or your phone number. The recruiter is not going to care about your address or the phone number. They care about what you're working on, what are your projects, LinkedIn, GitHub, etc. They don't really ask for the address. So let's move this and just put, hey, I'm a self-taught, you know, or you could be like self-taught programmer or full stack developer. Like you could just put like your stuff about you. So this is just like the subheading. And then the href right here is if I was to have like my actual email. This is a link for it. This is a wrong email, so once you actually update your email, so like let's say if I was to update my email, this is just gonna how it show up. And then right here I could just say, hey, this is the actual email. And then here I can just say, like, if your personal like portfolio is just barely starting, you're a junior, freshman, senior, whatever your case is, I would just say here briefly about yourself. So like when I first made this, when I was in school, I'll put, you know, comp CI student or something, right? Or iOS developer, or whatever the case may be. So this is my situation, but if you're making your personal, definitely put like full stack developer, freelancer, anything that you think of. So I guess let's just make this as an example. I always was a self-taught developer when I was like back in school coding. So I would definitely try to highlight that in your profile as well. And then right here is just like the icons that it was showing on there. So like the little icons right here, LinkedIn. Right now they're not clickable, but if you kind of want to link them to yours, you can just add them right here on this href link right here. And then experience, since you don't really have experience, or if you do, like let's say you did internships, I would definitely put them on there. But for this one, I would just say like personal projects. And when you're talking about your personal projects, talk about what frameworks you use, what solution, what was the problem, what did you encounter, how did you talk in depth, kind of what you did on your project. Don't just say, oh, build a game, this and that. Like try to be really explicit, so that way when you're in the technical interview process and they're seeing your resume right hand on hand, I kid you not, they're looking at it right on the other side and they're giving you an interview. They're gonna be like, okay, well, I see that you worked on this project, so and you use you use JavaScript. Okay, so how was that learning curve, or what did you do in JavaScript that was different? Like, so that kind of adds more to the conversation and getting to know you as a developer. So always be specific on your projects. So in here we can just say, hey, I did like a basketball app. And then instead of IntelliJ solutions, you can just say, hey, frameworks used. And you should be able to make this website on your own, like your own changes, especially if you know HTML or CSS. I could add probably like a list here. And I could say, okay, my frameworks that I used was Firebase and stuff like that. And then right here, you're just gonna start changing around everything that you see in here. How I was able to change the icons. I remember I went to flat icon and I was changing the icons, but you know, it's very tedious. There's so much code in here. Just go and change it what you can. Like I said, I recommend to always have this on the side, so that way, like let's say you wanna change like experience. So let's go to Visual Studio Code, go back in here and say experience. And then I could just say, hey, I don't want it to be called experience. I could just say like personal projects. And then this is what it says on the side. So like it's a section class which has like a whole section. So I could just say and then if we wanted to change the picture as well, we go to profile JPG and we see, okay, it's somewhere being called in here called profile.jpg, right? And here it is. So I'm adding, it's in my assets in my image. So all I gotta do is add an image in this folder right here. So let's go to add an image. So let's just say, well, this is the only pictures I got of myself or whatever. So we're just gonna, you can add whatever pictures you want. So for me, just for the video purposes, making this quicker. And then go back to Visual Studio Code, and then add your image on there. So let's rename it. So we'll just rename it as and then just click and drag. There you go. Personal pic. Oh, I should have named it JPG. Let's go back. Ew. Okay, let's just work with that, but just make sure you like making them the same as it was. So instead of PNG, it's supposed to be a JPG file, but it should be fine. It should work. All we gotta do is change it right here. You don't want to change asset and image because it's already in that folder. So what is yours saying? Searching. Search, like you're sourcing through the assets folder into the image folder, which is assets image folder. Now you want to call that picture that I put, which is personal, and I like Visual Studio Code, just says it right there for you. And then we're gonna say file save. You want to see quick changes? It should be on the index file. So we go back. You see the pictures, it's looking like a little janky and weird. So make sure you kind of go back and look at the image that you're using, kind of make it the same one. And I'm sure it also has to do with the CSS style as well, like it's in an oval shape. So that's kind of the challenge of like building a portfolio. You're kind of like reverse engineering, changing it. And here's the changes that I made, like Jessica Perez, self-taught iOS developer, made my email clickable. It does not work, but that's kind of the challenges that how do you make a like email clickable. Like you're kind of adding a lot of new things. So take this as a practice to kind of make your own website using this template. And then right here I changed it to personal projects, basketball app, frameworks used. I made a list, just Firebase. So just kind of mess around with it, but this is kind of like the simplest template that you can use. You can use it, like here you can put a word certifications, but again you could have used different templates on here. So like let's say if you wanted to use like, so for this is the template that I use. This is a template that I downloaded. So you see how this one had like this, and then this one had this banner. And so I messed around with it and I kind of added my own stars. I took off that banner, like, so this essentially gave me this, right, like the CSS, the style sheet. And then I went in and changed it. Even the icons itself, I changed it. So if you go back to the template, it was these stuff right here. So I just went in searching in that VS file, and I was just like seeing, okay, what is in my about experience, start changing. So this right here is in the nav bar, so that little side nav bar right there. So we can just say personal projects, save. So go back to that index file. And so now it's personal projects. So you see, you just kind of have to mess around, look in there, option F, sorry. And yeah, just start changing stuff around there. And then let's make the changes to our repo. So when I say it's much more easier to kind of push our commits through Visual Studio, it's this easy. Look, always add a commit message, and then just say yes, little flag, then the little arrow, push. Yes, pull and push. So it's just saying, hey, I'm pulling new changes. Here, I'm putting it up now. Okay. I'll go back to your GitHub. 20 seconds ago. So now it's saying new changes. So now, hopefully, the real domain works. It should take some time since I kind of did this earlier. So it should not work. Yeah, it's not gonna show up because I deleted it, but if you just put your name that you just created it, don't copy and paste it because it's not gonna work. Just put it and it should show your page. It should take us some time. I'll update you on it, but if you have some issues, just let me know. But have fun, mess around with it, and throughout the session, if you feel like you didn't understand some of the material, just drop comments, give me a few feedback so that way I can improve on the next video. The next videos I should talk a little bit more on the final product that I made on here, kind of the changes what I did. Also just draw pictures and show me your portfolio and stuff like that. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and make sure that you are writing this link right here on any web. So like how I have it right here, and it should show up your full page on there. If you don't see the changes right away, it should take like 1 minute or so. But if you're working on a file and you're making changes, always make sure you click File Save or Command S. Then go to your folder and click the index. This is not the actual, like in the GitHub, but this is what it looks like in the index. Once you make those commits in Visual Studio, then it should be working. Alright guys, have a good one.